I work as a cashier at my local Target. It is in a pretty busy area of my city, where many businesses and a strip mall surround it, so we get quite a lot of business. I'm a high school junior, so I've been working there for about 3 months to pay for my car. Nothing that out of the ordinary has happened so far, except for an incident where an unclothed man decided to go on a jog. But that's a different story. Anyways, this incident occurred just last week, and I have contemplated quitting ever since. I was working a little bit later that night. It was around 8:45 p.m., and it was getting dark outside. There were only a few people shopping since it was late, so I was sitting at the counter trying to hide my phone from my manager as I checked it. My manager shouted that she needed assistance in the back stockroom, so my coworker went with her, and I was the only one left up front. I sat, bored. I debated heading over to the little food court and getting a bag of popcorn, but my thoughts were interrupted by the sound of the doors opening. The Target I work at has those motion detecting electronic doors, but when I looked over, nobody was over there. I dismissed it because those doors malfunction all the time. It was just a false motion. I waited some more and checked out a woman's cart, which had an entire house's decorations in it. A few minutes left, the door opened again, and there was nobody there yet again. Weird, but obviously not unheard of. I would tell my manager to get the maintenance on the doors. But then, I saw someone over in the clothing area. They weren't browsing. They were just standing there, motionless. They just stared out into the aisles. I was creeped out a little bit, but thought it was just another drunk person hanging around. I ignored it, and eventually, they walked out of the store, still expressionless and barely moving. I decided to go shelve items since there were no customers. I went to the back where the toys were and started shelving some dolls and costumes. Then, I saw someone else. It was a different person this time, but they too were just standing there, staring. Looks like the stoner has a buddy. I whispered to myself, didn't these kind of people belong in Walmart? I kept shelving, and eventually that person left. I finished shelving and went back up front and had partial view of the food court area. And I saw the guy running the kitchen just sitting at the counter, staring at nothing. What the heck? I thought. I knew Steve, and he wasn't a stoner. He was actually the type that would rat you out if you did weed behind the building. I walked over to the counter. Steve. No answer. Steve, are you okay? No answer. Can I get a small popcorn and a slushie? He made zombie movements to the popcorn and made me a bag, and poured some slushie from the machine. Without any expression, he handed them to me, and then in a monotone voice that you would hear on a text-to-speech program said, $4.50. I gave him the money, my hand trembling in fear. He took it, and continued his staring at nothing. I hadn't really noticed because of the weird crap happening, but my coworker and manager were still in the back, and it had been about an hour. Decided to go check on them. I walked inside the stockroom and saw them, standing, staring, in the same damn expressionless state. What the actual heck? They did nothing. I tried talking to them, but nothing happened. My phone buzzed. It was my alarm. My shift was over. Hey, Amy, I'm clocking out. I told my manager, trying to get a reaction. She just nodded her head in a robotic way. I hauled ass out of that place. I walked out into the parking lot and everyone seemed normal. They were moving and talking like humans. As I glanced back, Steve was still motionless, and my manager and coworker were now up front, but in the same zombie state. This was the first time I stayed at work past 7:30, and it makes me wonder if this happened every night at 9 o'clock. I am scheduled to work late again next Friday, and I really don't want to chance that weird-ass situation again. I work at Target. I sell cell phones, and I love it. It's easy. I've been promoted twice, and there is a lot of room for advancement and growth. Never thought it would be a career option when I started, but now I can totally see myself doing this for a long time. I recently got promoted to a Target just outside of a big city. It's a very big store that was just renovated to be mobile-centric. At my old store, I only had an aisle to sell phones, but at this store I have an entire section. I've been working here for about 3 weeks. The leadership is friendly, the guests are nice, I've been able to sell a lot, and my bonus checks have been amazing. For the last week or so, shit's been getting pretty strange. I work the late shift, so I'm usually around from 2 to 10. This town sort of shuts down after 5. People go shopping until around 8. Then you could hear a pin drop for the remaining 2 hours. During this time, I usually walk around looking for people to talk to transition into a hey, let me sell you a phone conversation. I'm pretty good at this, and have no problem talking to anyone. I had to work a rare 3 to 11 shift in anticipation of selling lots of phones for Father's Day. I was walking around in the toy section when the lights in the store started flickering on and off. I thought nothing of it. The store is over 20 years old, and the fluorescent lights flicker on and off any time it so much as drizzles. It's gotten to the point where we even have flashlights in every trash station, because the power going out is something that happens all the time. I saw a middle-aged woman with her 4 or 5-ish-year-old kid, so I started asking them if they have any big plans for Father's Day. The little girl piped up and said she wanted to get her dad a ball, and pridefully held up one of those big bouncy balls. I found this all by myself, she gleefully exclaimed. Is that a gift for you or for your daddy? Asked, amused. Maybe we can share it, she suggested, as she slouched her shoulders. Maybe we can pick him out something else. Why don't you leave the ball with Llama 422, and we can go look at some other things? Her mom suggested sternly. She passed me the ball reluctantly, took her mom's hand, and walked over to the men's clothing section. Whatever, even a small conversation like that helps kill the time. The lights flickered on and off again, and some of the TVs could be heard from across the store, giving that statusy white noise sound. I heard some thunder rumbling in the distance, and decided I might as well grab a flashlight. A few minutes pass, and I'm spinning the ball on my finger and tossing it between my hands. Started talking to an old woman who was looking for a VCR to play her old movies on. I turned to walk over to show her when I almost crashed into the little girl. I need that ball back. She seemed stressed, like she absolutely needed to get that ball. I bounced it over to her, and as I did, the lights flickered again, stayed down for a few seconds, then came back on. She was putting the ball back in the giant ball cage thing. Alicia said you need to keep it clean in here, she said, very matter-of-factly. Alicia, is that your mom's name? Asked, genuinely confused. No, Alicia's the invisible girl that lives here. She likes to keep it clean and gets really angry when it's not. Sarah, what are you doing? Her mom came running, grabbed her hand, and told her she can't keep running off like that. Sorry, Mommy, she said as she walked back to the men's clothing. The lights flickered on and off, then went down completely.